Got a step for Mr. Davis, too.
All right, we're live. This is Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Miss Deidre Payne from Orange County, California. Hello, Miss Payne. How are you this evening?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Is that a virtual background, or are you actually in your car?
No, I'm in my car.
Okay.
I don't know how to do it on StreamYard. I did it on Zoom yesterday, but StreamYard, I can't find the setting for a virtual background.
We have the traveling co-host. All right, and my other co-host is Mr. Darren Guy. Mr. Guy is from Maine. How are you today,
Yes,
Darren?
sir. We're
Hey,
doing
Darren,
all right. We're doing
how far are you from Bangor, Maine?
Bangor is about 2.5 hours for me.
2.5 hours.
That's
Okay.
going north. Yep.
I just got
That's our
hired.
biggest city.
I just got hired to do a case in Bangor, Maine.
Oh,
Oh, perfect. You can come stay with me.
So I'll be out there. I think in October. Be out there in
Nice.
October.
wow.
Yeah, there's a casino in Bangor.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, sir. And a big, huge Paul Bunyan.
And I see we have a very special guest tonight, Miss Felicia Whitstone.
Yes, Whetstone.
Miss Felicia, how are you today?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Where are you calling in from?
I live in Oklahoma.
OKC. What city or county?
I'm in Rogers County.
Okay. Sorry, I asked you that. What city are you near? Are you
I'm
near Oklahoma?
Claremore.
Too? Okay. How far are you
Tulsa is where the case is.
Okay. How far are you from Tulsa?
About an hour, roughly 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay. All right. And I don't know if you know this, but in Oklahoma, in certain CPS hearings, you're entitled to a jury trial. Did you know that?
Yes, my lawyers advised us against that. Both of our lawyers did that. They're court-appointed lawyers, and my
Typical
lawyer.
court-appointed lawyer would say that.
They don't. Mine doesn't really get a hold of me very often at all, and his does sometimes. I mean, it takes her a while sometimes, but she at least gets back a hold of us. Mine, it might be weeks before I hear from her.
It's so sad how we hear the same thing with everybody's story.
And the DHS worker, she lied to get a petition. She said she could not get a hold of me. And I don't know how she couldn't get a hold of me if my kids' doctors could get a hold of me and our family could get a hold of us and everybody else can get a hold of me. But yet I messaged her back within a half an hour and she never texted me back ever after that. Never called, nothing. And then she comes to the doctor's appointment and removes my children with a petition because she could not get a hold of me due to the fact that we were staying in motels. It was during COVID. Right after that is it's 2021 when they took them, August 9th. Oh. So we were evicted from our apartment in the end of July of 2020 because of COVID stuff that had happened with that. And so I stayed in motels or a shelter or a friend's house or family members, wherever it could, where my kids could have a roof over their head, And I was in motels, so they had an issue with that. And due to the allegations, they're concerned for the safety of my children because they could not get a hold of me.
That was it?
That's why they removed them, yes.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, they didn't. Well, wait a minute. They didn't allege anything else?
No, the allegations was, see, I have my medical marijuana card. Okay, it's medically legal here in Oklahoma. And I was smoking in a chillum, what is considered resin. And it smells different than the flower product of marijuana. and someone said they seen us smoking out of a glass tube, and it didn't smell like marijuana. So there's drug allegations.
Okay, but they're
No drug tests we've had when the ones we were able to do because I'm on SSI. I have very low income. He helps me, the dad, and he doesn't have a job right now. But he's having difficulties finding one, and without a vehicle, it's hard to get transportation back and forth to a job.
Mhm.
And we lost our vehicle a year ago when it was wrecked into. So
Where are the kids right now?
well, the kids are in a foster home. They just deemed our rights to be terminated, and so I am starting the appeal process
Okay,
because I'm not done fighting.
have
They
they
already
terminated?
terminated?
They did a right. I got the paperwork in the mail. It's been signed and filed, but the lawyers are saying that's not the date they go by for the appeal. They're all confusing, our lawyers, but I'm appealing it. I'm
Okay.
disabled. I have a place now. It's an all bills paid apartment, so there's no problems with the utilities being shut off or anything like that. So, and I've been here since May 9th. It hasn't been 6 months yet. I've completed the first parenting class, in line for the second one. I've corrected most of the conditions, but since I didn't correct them all, is why they removed the rights. It's from my understanding of the paperwork.
So let me ask you this. I'm a little unclear. Have they terminated your parental rights as of right now? Yes or no? Or I don't know.
Yes, as of right now.
Okay. And so now you're in the appeal process.
I'm starting the appeal process. Yes,
Okay. Do you
and
know the timeline there in
30 days.
Okay. Have you filed your notice of appeal or whatever you have to do?
I'm pretty sure we signed the intent to appeal that last day of court, but my lawyers are trying to find out, and I'm trying to contact the county clerks to find out to make sure.
Has it been 30 days yet?
No, not from the date on the paperwork, and they say it's not by that date, so I'm a little confused by that.
Okay. Well, in California, they count from the date of the last hearing. How many days have gone by from your last hearing?
They didn't come up with a decision for 5 weeks from after the court date.
Okay. What was the date of the decision?
On the decision paperwork, it says August 1st.
Okay. Well, if that's true, you should talk to your attorney about that. It means you would have 30 days from August 1st, but talk to your attorney because you don't want to miss that date. And if I were you,
Right.
I would go talk to my attorney tomorrow or go down to the court.
I've been trying to keep in contact. She finally contacted me back today. So I'm trying to, figure this out with my attorney and with his attorney as well.
Okay. Let me ask Deidre something. She looks excited.
Well, I'm just curious, are the foster parents wanting to adopt?
The thing about the foster parents is I'm not sure if it's their son or daughter and the other one's the son-in-law or daughter-in-law. Not exactly sure how that goes. But they lived in Texas. They wanted to take my kids to Texas to go see family. They're going to go and visit family. That didn't end up happening. Well, they moved from Texas to Oklahoma so they could try to get my children. Long before there was even a thing for adoption, it was always reunification at that point.
The reason why I'm asking is because your
They let my
case is
kids
kind of
stay.
similar. Well, yeah, your case is kind of similar to my case as far as my youngest, meaning when my case opened in 2020, I was 7 months pregnant. And then I had my third child and they took him straight from the hospital because I had a case. The foster parents got my youngest 1 month old. Couldn't have kids of their own. This was their first placement. And fast forward 2 years, they've now adopted my kid. So the reason why I was asking is because it sounds like similar with you. You just answered, meaning they already had this set up in the beginning, even though you were trying to do reunification. They already had their minds made up, and they probably
I
just ran
understand
your
that.
time clock
It's their
like they did
second
with
placement they
mine.
were in.
But
The
how
first
old are your
one,
children? Are they young?
they're 3.5 and 2.
Oh yeah.
My youngest was just over a month old when they took them.
So
And
then they're
my
going to use
oldest is
that against
18
you too, and
months.
probably say that you don't have any bonding with the child because that's what they used against me. And I'm like, how do you expect me to establish a bond with my child when you took him straight from the hospital and you've only let him be with these people? So they use that
Right.
against me too.
But my
But like
oldest
Mr.
was
Davis
18
might
months old.
say, Mr.
No,
Davis might recommend doing a bonding study, or is it too late?
hold on a second. Hey, Felicia.
Yes?
I don't know if that's your sound or if Deidre or if that is our sound nemesis, Mr. Guy. Do you
Mute
know?
me and see if it goes away. Or do you want me to mute myself? I think it's Darren. Dun dun dun. Darren, where's your headset? Because he's moving.
Miss Felicia, I don't know if you know this, but Mr. Guy has $1 million studio at his home in his man
In the
cave.
middle of his garage. In the middle.
You know why it's in the middle?
Yes, he told me because all of his neighbors, he doesn't want people to hear his fun activities that go on.
Do you
Right,
remember
Darren?
there was a movie with two stars? It was about the CIA was following this lawyer played by Will Smith, and Gene Hackman was the old retired CIA spy. And his communication center was in the middle of this room, and he explained why it was in the middle of
Enemy
the
of the
room.
state. Enemy of the
And-
state.
Right, enemy of the state. That's it.
Yeah, probably.
Darren would know. Darren would know the name.
Well, I know a lot of Will Smith movies, but I could not, the other person in the movie was not helping me.
Okay, I didn't follow that one.
Like, I wasn't thinking of who the other person
When you
was.
said Gene Hackman or whoever you said, you lost her. That's what she was trying to
Yeah,
say.
you lost me at that person.
You know who the sound offender is? I think it's you, Miss Deidre.
It's me?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, then mute me. Here, mute me. I'm not even doing anything. Mute me.
Okay.
All right, here we're back without an echo.
Okay, I don't think we have an echo anymore.
No, there's no more echo. Bang! $1 million sound system stays to the stop today. You have
Felicia.
one too, though, now, Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Do you have any questions you want to ask me this evening?
Well, they're kind of telling my daughter that I'm not her mom too, and my kids are always getting sick constantly. They had COVID and RSV, and they've had all kinds of other things, and they say there's nothing I can do about that kind of stuff, even before the termination. And I don't. When there's weird bruises on my daughter's inner legs, that concerns me. When she has a black eye, that concerns me. They said my younger daughter hit my daughter in the eye, her sister in the eye, and her glasses and all that, but I don't know because I wasn't there.
How old are the children?
They're 3. She'll be 4 in January, and she just turned 2 in July.
Yeah. Young children who they are anxiously waiting to adopt.
Mm-hmm. And this is the hard part about all of this is, unfortunately, everybody that we talk to, including myself, you want to immediately gun and be like, look, this because you're not there to take care of your kids. You're not there. But even if there was some issue going on there, it's not going to get your kid any closer to you. That's the unfortunate part. Like, you think that everybody looks at it like, well, look, they're getting abused. They're doing this. Now you're pointing the finger. But right,
but I didn't accuse them on anything until they said she fell off a trampoline.
Everybody thinks that they waste their time going after these things that they think inadvertently will get their children back closer to them. Like, look, they're not being taken care of the way I could have. Obviously, that's your kids. Nobody can take care of them like mom.
No, but if it's something major, that's when I'm gonna really say something. I mean, I've said something to them when they get sick. Like I don't understand why they're constantly getting sick when they rarely ever got sick before. I've said that to them.
Understood, but you're a ghost to them now. You have to understand that. You mean nothing to those people anymore. The CPS
I know
people,
that.
everything. Don't beat yourself up and try to be. I hate to be like, as I'm in the same boat as you, so I understand. So it's very hard. Like, take your energy and focus it on your appeal.
The second time I've went through this.
Don't worry about it. So you've gone through this before then. All right. So
my oldest is going to be 13.
Got you. Yeah. I mean, the things that you can't change, don't bother with it. Don't worry. Don't waste your time.
At least I can know she's safe. She's with my aunt. So, I mean, at least I know she's safe. So it doesn't bother me as much now as it did in the beginning. But I've told them about family members. They've never tried to contact any of these people.
Because they never wanted them to. They never wanted them to. They wanted to adopt.
And from the beginning, we've told them. And I told them that there's people specifically that I would, if anything, my aunt has my oldest.
Mm-hmm.
She should have first chance to get my other two. She has my oldest.
Right.
Whether she's in Michigan or not.
Did you give them?
And they're supposed to have contacted her.
Like, because Mr. Davis's cardinal rule is a list of at least 25 family members and friends that they've got to go through, for that selection. But you did do that. You gave them a list. They didn't. So you're saying that they didn't even bother with your list?
No, nobody has been contacted.
Yeah.
Not since before the removal or right after the removal. Nobody's even been contacted for anything like that.
Right. So you didn't know these people that your children are with?
No, I do not. That they were with two different couples. They've been with one couple, and they wanted to adopt my kids. They even stated that, and then somehow, for some reason, they don't want to be foster care parents no more. Out of the blue.
Oh, yeah. Well, they realize.
And now they're placed with this older family, this older couple, who's they either want to adopt or have their daughter and son adopt.
Got you. So, let's take this moment with the best here, with Mr. Davis. Let's talk about your appeal. What points in your case are you thinking that you're going to argue in your appeal? And then instead of wasting our time with stuff, let's use our time with this. What things in your appeal are you looking at that you want to bring up, or have your lawyer bring up, things that took place in your trial or your case, or what are the things, what are the items that you want, that you feel
that I've corrected almost every single condition they asked of us. All we have to do is prove we're stable for 6 months still, and that's only so many months away, and finish that last parenting class, and me to continue my mental health, of course. But
which will be
I already have to do that.
So is there an argument, Mr. Davis? Because that thing would have been asking for more reunification services,
and then the fact that the DHS worker lied to even get the petition in the first place.
Right.
So
but that's too far back in the case.
What you would want to do is get with her attorney, develop a strategy, ask for a bonding study, and file Oklahoma's equivalent to the 388 petition to ask for more reunification services, or possibly ask for the child to be returned.
Well, yes, I'd be asking for that. I'd be having the appeals attorney be asking for the return, and because I've proven almost everything. I'm still doing the parenting class, even though they terminated my rights. As soon as they give me the information, I have one more parenting class.
The unfortunate part about an appeal that people don't understand is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Davis, what are the things that you can go to an appeals court? You can only appeal what took place in your trial, correct?
The last tail end of it, I was told. From the TPR hearing, right?
You're only arguing the legality of what took place in your trial, how you were.
They're trying to say because I'm low income, and
which they can't do that. Poverty.
That's part of it, is because I'm low income, even though I can afford my place and I still have money left over, so I could still get the stuff my kids need.
Yeah,
and there's also resources for other things.
Right, but what I'm saying though is, in your when you go to the appeals court, they're going to say, what are you arguing that you were unlawfully treated in your court hearing? Is that right, Mr. Davis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So in your court hearing, when you were at that trial, did you have a trial for your TPR?
Yes, we had a trial by judge, a non-jury trial.
So for you, say by me, but I think, you might want to, if your lawyer never got in touch with you, if they denied a
jury
trial by jury, which is ridiculous.
They didn't deny it. Our lawyers highly advised us to do a trial by judge because it looked better on our case. And they've also advised us not to testify because that would look bad on our case. Because of emotion, because of so much being so emotional during it. So our lawyers was, and I'm disabled. I mean, I'm smart, but I don't know everything about, the legal stuff. And if my attorney's going to try to tell me one thing, I went with what she said, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I did.
I mean, I think you would probably want to argue against your attorneys, possibly speak to. I don't know if you have the same attorney for the appeal, but if you say
no, we'll have a different attorney because it'll be an appeals attorney, and if it gets overturned, I will be requesting a different lawyer than the one I had the first time.
Yeah, that's just that's the unfortunate part about the appeal is like your arguing is over. You know what I mean? Like they don't care anymore about the substantiation. They don't care about.
It's because they found these people that wanted to adopt your kids from day one. That's what I feel like.
Right. They
already had their mind made up in the beginning.
How long did it take you to get through this process?
Huh?
2 years, right?
How long did it take you to get through
I've been fighting for 2 years, just about.
2 years.
That was mine too.
Your other child? Were you TPR'd from your oldest daughter?
They terminated my rights with my oldest daughter in Michigan.
So you were lucky actually to be able to have those 2 kids then, as far as I know, right? Like normally if
they were born here in Oklahoma.
Oh, so that makes a difference, Mr. Davis, huh? What states you're in? If you've been TPR'd in Maine, for instance, and let's say my wife we screwed it out and went to Nebraska, DHS wouldn't be seeking us out there, or they would if they caught wind?
No, you wouldn't be seeked out necessarily. If somebody did allegations on you, that could be a different story, but they wouldn't seek you out.
Did they use your case against you that you had already had your rights terminated with your oldest? Did they kind of use that already against you from the get-go?
They didn't really use it against me, but they didn't. They did know about it. I didn't lie from the beginning. I told them everything about it because I figured it's always worse if they find out later on when they, and when they got involved. I let them know. But
did your aunt adopt her?
Yes, my aunt adopted her. I was 19 when I got pregnant with her, and then 20 when I had her. So I was a young mom. So there, there's 10-year difference between the kids. The second and the first one, there's almost 10 years difference.
I'm surprised they gave you reunification services right off the bat, though, because from what I've heard in the past, if you've already had a TPR with a previous child, I feel like they use that against you and don't even give you reunification services. But you're in a different state.
They seen there's a big bonding. We're great with our kids, and our kids adore being with us. And there's never any safety concerns at our visitations. There's no concerns for anything at the visitations. We've passed the drug assessment they made us do. We passed the domestic violence thing they made us do. Everything that they made us do. We've only ever had marijuana show up in our drug test, except for one time for alcohol. It was near our birthdays, and so we drank a little bit.
I know, but the harsh thing is I learned this the hard way too. At the end of my thing is, once I looked back on everything, no matter what I did my whole case plan and then some, and everything else, and more and more and more. It didn't matter because these foster parents already had basically told them that yes, they wanted to adopt, and the sooner it got closer to that time, the more their true colors would show. And then next thing you know, they're having their own attorney come in. They're filing de facto parent status. Now they're allowed in the courtroom. Where in the beginning, they're all, oh, we want to support you however we can, to get your child back. It's all a game, and then when it really got towards the end, they were letting us know that if we were even going to have any contact after the adoption, we would be lucky if we'd see him once a year. Once a year.
The people said that they would allow us to see them. They did say that.
But they already now have not fallen through with their I guess not promise, but I guess statement. I've seen him 3 times since last July, but this time around when I made contact, I haven't heard from him now for almost a month, and that's scaring me to think that I probably won't ever hear from them again now. So you just need to make sure you get with your appellate attorney and try and make that appellate attorney really aware of anything that they could possibly bring up. But see, I lost my appeal because, like Darren said, it's only like the tail end, like what happens in that TPR that you could technically like bring up in the appellate court, I feel like he said. And because in my case, at the tail end, there really wasn't anything like that. Everything that happened bad in my case was all in the beginning, where I didn't have Mr. Davis's knowledge and didn't know all the stuff that I could have appealed back then, But like he says, once you go through one module, then it's kind of like it's over, it's done.
Yeah, well, my appeal with my first daughter, the first appeal I won, and then the second one was messed up. I got 2 different pieces of mail, 2 days apart or something. One saying that I got my appeal turned in and it went through, and the other one saying, the next one said that I didn't get turned in on time. So I never even got a chance to do a second appeal on my first case. But
no, but this one, you got to make sure you find out exactly what date they're going by, because like you said, that 30 days.
Yeah, I know. I keep on telling the lawyer.
Crucial.
I told the lawyer, I said, yes, it does. It says it's signed and filed on this date. And she says, that's not the date they go by. And so she's confusing me, but she's going on vacation and won't be back till Wednesday. So I got to get in touch with my lawyer because, I'm hoping my lawyer gets me the right information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very important. Very, very important.
Yeah, I've been keep on messaging her. And then I told his lawyer that I needed their boss's phone number. And then automatically she got a hold of me. It says, don't tell people you can't get a hold of me. Well, then get a hold of me.
Do you have an email?
Yes.
You should definitely, moving forward, be sure that you might want to just try reaching out to her via email. That way you have an actual static copy. That way you can say, look, I've been trying to get a hold of my attorney.
Yeah, I text and I screenshot the text.
Well, don't even text. Do an email. That way you can carbon copy it. You can send it. You can forward it. I used to send it to the person, and then I would send it to a random person. Just out.
She says text messages is the best.
Well, she says that I'm telling you, for your purposes, it's the best storage. It's the best. You can see where it went, when it went, what time it went, whether it was there. Believe in me, use the emails.
Mr. Davis, does her attorney have to be if she wants to file an appeal, is that their a responsibility to do that for her, or could they technically say your case is closed now, we're done, and she would have to handle the appeal on her own?
I don't know for her.
The judge.
But
said that we're supposed to get in touch with our lawyers to do the appeal. And then legally it's supposed to contact us. It's confusing.
So to answer your question, Deidre, in California, the trial attorney has to file the notice of appeal or request for appeal. After that, the trial attorney has the option to continue representing you, which doesn't happen all the time, right? Or the court of appeal will appoint you an appellate lawyer, or you can hire your own appellate attorney.
Does it behoove you as a defendant to have the same attorney through? Because I know that there's a thing between you're not an appellate attorney or not, right? That's kind of a number one breaker, right? There's a difference between an appellate.
Appointed a really good one from what I could do my research. He was out of San Diego, and he seemed like he was a number one. But
who was that attorney?
Oh, I'd have to look up his name. I would have to look it up on my paperwork, but he got back to me really fast when I first got his information in the mail. And then, you know, he spent like almost an hour on the phone with me. And then he said he had already went through my, you know, transcripts pretty in depth. But like he said, to be very honest with me, like he was one that told me it's just whatever happened from the TPR and on that you're really only able to argue to write your brief. And he didn't feel like there was anything really that was done, I guess, wrong, lawfully. So he didn't even write the brief.
Oh, Jesus.
But I'd have to get back to you on that, who he was.
If I say the name, will you recognize it?
Maybe.
Okay, don't say the name, but I just put it in the private text.
Okay. That doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
You're out of here. You're gone.
Yeah, Deidre is the queen of technology, isn't she?
Yeah, that's great, though. That's pretty good, perfect timing.
That was kind of like a magic trick you just did. How did you do that with StreamYard?
I'm cracking myself up because whenever I go to chat and then I go to go back, if I press the X, then I'm taking myself out of the show instead of pushing the arrow. And right when I hit it, I knew what I did.
You need a bigger finger, a bigger screen for the finger, you know?
I'm on my phone. Leave me alone. I'm not in a studio. Excuse me. Now I can't even hear you guys.
Oh, the sound is down, too.
I need a set of headphones. I was watching the show from yesterday today when I was at work, and I was cracking myself up because when you were telling Mr. Davis you were going to send him one, I'm like, wait, I want one too. And then Mr. Davis has got to be picky. Do they only come in white?
I'll tell you what, these things are awesome. These things are pretty good.
I know, why aren't you using them?
Felicia, did you just see those headphones that he showed us?
Yeah.
As of August 7th, 2023, those are the best headphones you can have for live streaming and vlogging.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Darren Y in Maine has a pair.
Yep. And Mr. Davis next week will have his own pair as well.
I thought you were going to overnight it.
Well, yeah, you going by Pony Express? What's the deal next week?
Maybe it's going by train.
Speaking of that, there was some place I heard recently that is all excited because they're actually getting donkey Amazon delivered to them wherever they are. I forgot where I heard that at.
Yeah, no, I have to wait. I have a friend that does this stuff, so she'll be around this next week, and I'll be able to. She's putting them aside for me.
You mean donkeys like in the United States? Are you doing Amazon deliveries?
Yeah, it's like there's some like I have to look it up online, and I was reading the article, but they were all excited now because Amazon made it to where their packages are getting to them by donkeys.
So now we have asses delivering our packages.
Have you seen the
I have to mute myself. There's a helicopter coming.
Have you seen the Domino's commercials where they have pinpoint delivery? You could be like at the beach and they'll deliver to you there. Or you can be like in the mountains and they'll supposedly will deliver to you there. Do you see those on your TV commercials?
Yeah.
Or are they just rolling that out in California?
I think they have it on the app. It's a tracker.
Like that too.
We're good.
Oh yeah. I don't want anything to do with that then.
I don't know if it goes like if they know exactly, but I mean it knows it has the location on it. You can see how far away they are, so I'm sure.
Yeah. What were you saying?
All right, Felicia, I'm going to thank you for being on the show this evening. We have a very got to stick to the schedule tonight, but I want you to keep us posted. What happens to your parental rights? Okay. And with your appeal.
I will.
Okay.
Good luck.
Take care and keep in contact.
Thank you.
Okay, for the rest of the show, you guys, I'm going to do something really quick. On the seminar that we had Saturday, I started to do a presentation about the detention hearing, and I told you all of the things that you should do before the hearing. Well, now I'm going to tell you some of the things that you have to do during the detention hearing. And that's your very first hearing in California. They call it something else in other states. What do they call it in Maine, Darren?
In Maine, they call it the
Jeopardy?
72 hour, but I'm going to
Oh, I thought you said Jeopardy.
No, Jeopardy's after. Jeopardy's once they find you.
So
But I
during
will
the
tell you in 1
detention,
second.
right, during the detention hearing, the first thing you want to do is be aware of the law, and that's WIC Section Code 319, and the applicable burdens of proof. Remember, the social worker and her attorney must prove certain things. For example, the social worker has to prove a prima facie case. In other words, that there was some type of child abuse, risk of child abuse. She has to prove that she gave you reasonable efforts to try to prevent detention of the child, or that the situation was an emergency and that she couldn't give those reasonable efforts. And she has to show that there is a connection between the allegations and the risk to the child. So that's something that you and your attorney must go over before and during the detention hearing. The next thing that you have to consider is that, is this case involving a child with Indian heritage, American Indian heritage? If there is, you must notify the judge, because there's a possibility a different standard will be used. And although it may seem to be somewhat of a discrimination case, people with American Indian heritage are given far greater protections in a CPS manner. I mean, and it's not even close. It's significantly greater protections. The next thing you need to be concerned about during the hearing is you want to make sure that you request certain orders. And the first and most important order that you should be requesting is that the child be placed with a relative or non-relative extended family member, a nephrom. The next thing that you want to make sure that you go over is visitation that you're going to have between you and the child as a parent, and then visitation with relatives and other appropriate persons in your family or friends. The next thing that you want to make sure that you address are the reunification services they're going to offer not only you, but the entire family. There may be, in a lot of situations, that services be offered to the child right away to help bring the child back in your home. The last thing that I think that you should be concerned with at this hearing is that you want to make sure that you have important addresses. Many years ago, you used to be able to get the address for the placement of where your child is. That's no longer the case by statute. But you want to make sure that the judge orders family reunification services and determines parentage of the child. So those are the things that I think that you should be concentrating on with your attorney during the hearing. Any questions, Mr. Guai or Miss Payne?
No, but I found out where they deliver those packages to.
So,
remember, I just said the Grand Canyon in Arizona, to answer your question. But no, I don't have any questions.
Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo.
Yeah,
Shush.
we need to get these back up.
Mr. Guai, do you have any questions?
Go, Darren, go.
In Maine, they take your kid, but they give you this nice scheduling planner, which got a calendar inside. It tells you all of the steps of stealing your child, like everything you do. So the 72-hour hearing is, as I've said, they call it the 72-hour hearing, or it's from the preliminary protection order. So they don't have a fancy name like you guys have, though. But here's the thing. This boils my blood that you've been talking about this, because had we known any of this stuff. So our lawyer said this to us: we're going to waive our right for the 72-hour hearing. And he said, this is why. He says, because at that hearing, they're going to give a preponderance amount of evidence of why they will be able to take your kid, hold your kid, and so on, that they may be able to use down the road. Now, that being said to you, so we're like, okay, we hadn't even done anything like every other parent, but there was nothing that was imminent. I mean, they came 8 days later. But what do you say about someone saying that, like, hey, they're going to give up some information at this hearing that is by a preponderance measure, and we don't want them to be able to use this because is there a court of record also when you go to that hearing?
Well, so here's the unfortunate part. And I can say this because I've been a lawyer so long. When somebody told you that, that could have been real good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could have been, I'm just going to tell Darren anything because I don't want to work really hard and I just want to get this case over. I got a golf game at 12.
Yep. But
you don't know. And we can't get in his head to determine why that was said.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not being facetious, Darren. He could have he could have given you really good advice. I don't know. You know, I wasn't there. You know, sometimes when you're there and you get to talk to people, you talk to the prosecuting attorney, sometimes they let you talk to the social worker. There's social workers there. You get to talk to the minors counsel. You get to talk to the other counsel on the case. You know, you might even conference it with the judge. So you have all of these, you know, all of this information that's in your head that is not in your head, Mr. Guay.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, you don't even know that it's going on.
Right.
So, like, if I'm on your case and I go talk to the minors attorney, right? You don't know what we talk about, right? Unless I come back and tell you, and I might not even tell you everything.
Mm-hmm.
Or I might tell you everything, or I might get something confused, right? So that's one of the big problems for you as a parent. You don't know if the guy is being straight up with you or not. You just don't know. He could have given you really good advice. And by the way, that guest that we just had on, who told her attorney said, "Don't have a jury trial," it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it might have been great advice. It might have been, hey, I'm not going to do a jury trial. It's going to take too long, too much work.
Right, and they're just going to hang you, right?
Right, but you just don't know which way that is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is some validity to everything an attorney says. It's just how much validity is there? Is it a 5% validity or a 95% validity? You, and especially you as a civilian, you don't know. Look, I can tell you this. Experience levels mean a difference. I've been doing these cases over 30 years. And I can tell, I think, when other attorneys are talking about a case, I can tell some of their concerns by listening, active listening. I can tell if they even know the law. I can tell sometimes, that their argument is going to be this, this, and this. So I kind of, prepare for that or come at them a certain way. There's a lawyer that was on the seminar Saturday, and we do a lot of cases coincidentally together. He'll have the mother or father, and I have the other parent. And he's been practicing a long time as well. And I sometimes, when we're on the same case, I watch and listen to him because he's doing the same thing that I would do, right? And it does matter. When I was a 10-year attorney, I didn't think experience mattered. I didn't.
Right, you're a hot shot. You're coming in blazing, right?
No. You know why? Because I was a 10-year attorney. I didn't realize that at 25 years, so much more.
How many years did it take you before you even started in CPS? I forget your story.
Oh, I worked
because I remember the story when you walked in and that one guy said, "Hey, Mr. Davis, they're taking kids," and you're like, "No, they're not."
Right.
You're like, "They're taking kids."
That was a guy by the name of Michael D. Rando, who's deceased.
Yeah,
and he was kind of like my mentor for maybe the first 7 to 10 years of doing CPS cases. I mean, he was really, really smart. He went to Bolt Hall Law School at Berkeley. At that time, I think it was the number 3 or 4 law school in the country, right? And he was really, really smart. And, he was older than me, and he had been an attorney longer than I had, so he showed me the ropes. And we kind of had a study group, he and I, every night, to the dismay of my wife at that time and his wife at that time. We would talk on the phone for like 3 or 4 hours every night about cases, about the law, about evidence, about procedure. And it's funny that you brought that up today, because someone called me today about hiring me, and they mentioned that he was their attorney way back when, a few years ago, around the time that he passed away.
Mm.
Yeah.
We must be thinking about you then, Mr. Davis, today.
I guess so. And the strange thing is, I never really got the real detail about what happened to him. At first, the rumor was that, something nefarious happened. And then the rumor was, no, it was an accident and stuff like that.
Do you think the judge that just killed that wife in Anaheim Hills, do you think he'll end up getting
First of all, it's allegedly
I know,
killed
that's funny.
his wife. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Well, he's still out on bail too, right? Or did they rearrest him, I read? Or is he still on bail?
Now I forgot what he was even talking about.
Okay.
That's my mind. I got to hear the story, because now I don't remember what Mr. Davis was saying. I was all amped into the end of that story, and then you just came at it with that.
That's like Tor how do you say his name? Okora. He's so intelligent that if you get him off track, he literally has to tell you, okay, so what was I just saying right now? And I'm laughing because Mr. Davis sometimes laughs because it's kind of funny in the first place, but it's just so intelligent that he literally has to say, what was I just saying right now? Because you like I'm laughing about that.
Hey, what time is it? Okay, I gotta go. Hey, let me answer this question by Susan. What happens if none of this happened and now it's too late? And we're talking about the detention hearing. Susan, unfortunately, if you didn't file a writ or an appeal way back when, it's all over. It's done with. Water under the bridge. You got to take your case, pick it up, and go forward where you are now. Okay?
Not what you wanted to hear.
I had that conversation today with someone, and it wasn't what they wanted to hear. They came to me in Module 5 and wanted to talk about Module 1 and 2, which they didn't appeal. And that's
why we're doing these shows, Mr. Davis, to get you out there for everyone in Module 1
You know what? I'll send this to you.
I would love to see that. I would love
with
to see
that headphones. The headphones.
If you're coming to Bangor, you'll need this, because this will tell you exactly how main work.
Did you get Miss Payne a headset as well? So
I'm certainly sure.
So we can all be uniform.
I'll wear them every day.
All right. I will make sure I get in touch with her, and I'll make sure that she does something.
You might put a little pink stripe on the side or something to be different.
Pink stripe. All right, I'm not getting it.
Okay. Hey, folks, I want to thank you both for being on the show today, and we'll see everyone tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.